small. Who would go out and take their own switch? I've done that.
It's not good enough. You have to get bigger.
Right.
And George, tell a story.
Well, when Noah and I were going together, we were engaged, and just before we got married, Margaret comes up and she said, "Now you know how to take care of him?" And yes, you did. And I said, "I think so." And she said, "Well, now you got to shave him, and you got to get his clothes laid out. You got to iron them,
Wash his hair,
and wash his hair." And comb it and get it fixed all right. And I mean, she just numbered off things.
Mommy, did she tell you the same thing?
No, but she did it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to make her mad at me. A new sister-in-law, I didn't want to make her mad. So we've had a lot of good times throughout the years.
And Sue?
One thing I can remember is we had that big tree in our yard when we was down on that one house. And we didn't have any more sense, and when it was storming or lightning, we would go crawl in that hole in that
Oh my
tree
gosh.
while it was storming and raining. And that was our playhouse. You know, we didn't have anything else. And then the only other thing I can think of is we always grew our potatoes. And we all had to take turns of going dig potatoes for our evening meal or whatever. Well, it wasn't my turn, but they all said it was my turn. And I said, "Okay, I'll just go dig the whole patch." And the only one other thing I want to say is I am so thankful for my family and the way I was raised. I always said that when I got away from home, I'll do what I want to. Okay, I graduated when I was barely 17. I went to Evansville, and the first thing I did was find a place to go to church. I have never smoked a cigarette. I have never had a drink of alcohol in my 78 years. And I am so thankful, and people just don't believe that you can go through life without that. I had never had a desire for anything that was, my dad taught me the way to live, and that's the way I have lived my life, and still yet, that's the way I believe, the way he taught me. And
She
I'm
smokes
so
lots of
thankful for
marijuana,
that.
They smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol.
Joycey, quit being mean. Tell that story now.
Yeah.
Charles, you got some stories? Oh, come on. Stories you don't want to tell.
And he's the one that told me the story about Andrew him and Andrew making mud cakes with his Mother's Day. And when I told Andrew,
She really was missing eggs. You were doing it I ever had
eggs for the these were eggs that they were going to sell.
Remember that time we had that old hen?
sold on the weekend by the grocery, but it's not her. He bought me. Andrew say, "Go get some more." They look more like eggs than did mud.
Good thing you didn't fall into that.
That's how you made your mud pies stick together.
Why, sure.
I'm not of the Holtzclaw family. I'm married. Well, then you are of them. But married this fellow. And I can remember a few things that
Can't hear you, Mom.
had said.
Can't hear you.
Speak up.
I remember Martin telling about he had went with Uncle Doc to Maunee. And when he came back, somewhere along the way, he had to go to the bathroom. Well, Uncle Doc stopped the horse and wagon, and Martin got off, and he started to pull down his trousers, and he says, "What are you doing that for?" He said, "Stand up here like a young man." And he said, "Well, I can't." He said, "I got new pants." He said, "Mom didn't put a peephole in it." So Uncle Doc took care of that. He took his pocket knife and made it. She can't talk, she's got
Oh, okay,
laryngitis.
okay.
I'm sure there's more things that we can think of if we just can't
Anybody else got something? Linda, you haven't said a word, and I know you know a lot.
Never did. I want to know who all was involved with that, the cat in the fruit jar.
Niagara Falls. Cat in a fruit jar.
That was just Max and that little ditch that runs in front of that old house before down now. And when it rained, we'd run down there and run back into the big one. And so we'd catch that little cat, put it in a fruit jar, and send it over Niagara Falls in a jar. And then one of us run down there and catch it and let it out. But it was going like that. We thought that was really wonderful. But anyway, it was hard to catch after we left.
I can imagine. I've not heard any of these stories.
I also remember Arlene telling that during the Depression, of course, I wasn't there. Roy probably remembers some, and maybe Joyce and some of the rest of you. But she said whenever it was Christmas time, her and Martin didn't have any money for Christmas presents. And Martin took 2 cans and he painted them and he put a string in them. And that was their Christmas present. And she said they were just as happy as what these kids are that have big bottom toys. I think I'm going to do that next time I have a grandkid.
Well, I remember the kids taking this kind of stuff and stomping their feet in it and walk around on it. They took a rim off the wagon and they were brought to build their own. Yeah, when we went to the store.
What kind of story do you have going on over here?
Oh, I said, at Christmas time, our Christmas was mostly, if we knew they went to town and brought back tangerines and candy, that was usually Christmas Eve.
It was
Mhm.
And that was.
tangerines were.
Right.
What else did you say, Grandpa? Yeah, Grandpa Greer. Where do you get those? At the coal place? At Jordan Walker's store in
Concord.
We got orange slices, and then we got those,
Coconut drop things.
yeah.
Grandma Holtzclaw liked those.
What's the trouble?
What in the world? That's a creepy story you tell on yourself.
And what happened? Those coconut things that Grandma Holtzclaw liked.
Did you realize that this is going to be posted for Facebook and everybody to see?
I will deny it.
Okay, I will deny it. Okay, Grandma Holtzclaw.
Yeah, I got those. Don't you dare smack my hand. I remember her. She didn't last long after you. She wanted that candy and she smacked my hand good.
She liked her
I was
candy.
pretty active.
She liked her candy.
But you guys remember when Dad was she was scared of all the Andrew, Jerry, and me, Marilyn, scared us to death. Dad comes out, we're all out there, you know, and of course Jerry and these 2 guys were over there and they, you know, always big He-Men and everything. Marilyn and I were on the other side of the house. Dad goes and gets a sheet, puts it over his head, and starts running toward these guys. And you should have seen him go. I mean, they were halfway down Andrew's house.
We meant well, we just couldn't stand still.
I remember your dad getting mad at me. Him and Dad were building onto the farmhouse, building out of the bedroom and bath. And I only lived up there 6 months, so I don't have that many stories from up there. But I would steal Uncle Freeman's hammer constantly. Every time he'd lay it down, I'd steal it. And I remember him finally yelling at my dad, "Are you going to do something with this kid?" Because I'd always take his hammer.
I remember a story that Daddy used to tell, and this one's on the serious side. When he was very young, he had rheumatic fever and could not walk. And he said that there was a stroller. Now they tell me that it wasn't, that it was a stroller, not a walker. I don't know what they had then. But anyway, one of the smaller kids would use that, but Daddy would get it to where he could use it to kind of walk around a little bit, and that was the only way he could get around. And he said then one day, Grandpa came in, and I believe Daddy said he was in bed, but Grandpa came in, picked him up, put him in his lap, never said a word, but he knew exactly what Grandpa was doing. Grandpa was praying. And you know what? You all knew my dad, and you knew him that he was a hard worker, because he gained, right after that, he started getting better all the time. He could walk again. You know, that is the kind of family that we come from. We come from those good Bible-believing people who believed in prayer and would pray, and that's when miracles happen. Did that happen every day? Dad said some days they ate taters and beans, and then the next day they ate beans and taters. But you know what? They had food on the table, and they loved each other. And when it came time to worship the Lord, they knew how to do that. And they didn't just do it on Sunday and church night. It was every single day. They lived for God, so that when they needed to touch the hem of His garment, they could do it. They could do it. So that's the story I had, and I guess it's more of a touching one than a funny one. Dad said he also used to run every place, and I just couldn't imagine that because he wasn't a little skinny kid until I saw some pictures as a teenager, and then I realized, hey, wait a minute, he was a scrawny little kid. And he did probably run everywhere, and he said he used to take those fences, and I bet he did, running as fast as he did. But that's all I have, and on behalf of Daddy.
I have a question.